Hughie Campbell Jr. was born in the year 1992 as the first and only son of his father, Hugh Campbell, as well as his mother, Daphne. His early childhood was very normal, and he had supportive and loving parents, but eventually they ended up divorcing, resulting in his father getting custody. Hughie never saw his mother again after this, until season 4 that is, but this led to him believing that he was abandoned by her growing up. Hughie's father ended up entering a period of depression due to the divorce, in which he started consuming large amounts of junk food as a coping mechanism. Due to this behavior, Hughie started to view his father as a loser, which made him deeply insecure as he did not want to end up like him in that way. Hughie was also a big superhero fan growing up, owning a large amount of Vought merchandise in his bedroom, including posters of the Seven and even an A-Train action figure. Overall, he is a kind, compassionate, intelligent, but also a timid young man. After his girlfriend was accidentally killed by A-Train, his personality shifted, becoming more aggressive. However, this traumatic event led him to becoming anxious, and he started to even get panic attacks just by seeing pictures of A-Train. Despite this, his desire for revenge was so strong that he would face his fears, joining the boys, now grasping control over his emotions, and fighting against not only A-Train, but the rest of the Seven as well. Although he sometimes makes irrational decisions out of anger, he is still a caring person with a strong sense of justice and morality. Eventually, in season 3 of the show, Hughie takes V24, which is also known as Temp V, a modified version of Compound V, which temporarily gives a person powers that are based on their personality traits. Hughie ends up receiving superhuman strength, durability, regenerative healing, hearing, and also teleportation. With his naturally gifted intelligence, he uses these powers to his advantage for the small time he has them. William Butcher, who is better known as Billy, was born in the year 1975 in the United Kingdom, being the first child of Connie and Sam Butcher. Eventually, he gets a younger brother named Lenny, but due to their father's abusive behavior, they both grow up to be pretty dysfunctional individuals. Billy always did his best to protect Lenny from their father. However, as time went on, Billy started to develop some of his father's aggressive traits. At one point in his childhood, he beat up the headmaster at his school and also another kid who broke his younger brother's nose. After these events, rather than being punished, his father gave him alcohol as a reward. Eventually, Billy ended up running away out of fear that he might be prone to abusing his younger brother as well, in which he joined the British military. He promised his brother that he would eventually return, but never did, which resulted in his brother being driven to suicide due to being left alone with their abusive father. During Billy's time in the military, he met a man named Joe Kessler, and while many of their adventures are unknown, they became good friends, but eventually, Joe was killed in Afghanistan. Sometime later, Butcher immigrated to America and met a woman known as Rebecca Saunders, whom he fell in love with and married. In 2011, Rebecca was sexually assaulted by Homelander, resulting in her becoming pregnant with his child. Vought ended up helping her disappear, putting her in witness protection and faking her death, as she wanted to raise the child without being in fear of what Homelander might do if he found out that he now had one. But her disappearance resulted in Butcher believing she killed herself. He eventually was contacted by a woman who worked at the CIA named Grace Mallory, and she showed him a video of his wife entering a room with Homelander, which Butcher ended up figuring out that she was assaulted by him, and he must be the reason why she was driven to suicide. Butcher agreed to join Grace's team known as the Boys to get revenge, working for the CIA, and here he would have two partners, Frenchie and Mother's Milk. Eventually, Grace would retire and disband the group, resulting in Butcher continuing his war against Vought on his own, breaking many laws in the process. Of course, in season 1 of the show, he meets Hughie, who is also set out on revenge, and Butcher gets the boys back together, gaining even more members as time goes on, and also getting closer and closer to his goals of getting revenge. In season 3 of the show, Butcher takes V24, resulting in him getting powers such as heat vision, superhuman strength, durability, reflexes, and hearing. He also takes Compound V around the time of season 4, giving him superpowers yet again, but due to getting cancer from V24, his tumor is now granted sentience, and he is not able to directly control his powers as they are linked to his tumor. It seems that his powers are somehow activated through the hallucinations he has of his old friend Joe, but he is not able to remember whenever he uses these powers. The specific abilities he currently possesses are unknown, but maybe in the final episode of season 4, which is airing soon, or even season 5, we might see more of what his powers have to offer. Ryan Butcher is the son of Homelander and Rebecca, and he is a very sweet and loving boy. He enjoys the simple things in life, being raised to be kind and diligent, which are traits he retained until about 8 years old, which is unlike his father, as Homelander was only kind and loving until around 5. Rebecca tries her hardest to raise Ryan well, ensuring he will become nothing like his father, and he grew up enjoying things such as making stop-motion Lego animations and staying on top of his education, as he loved to exercise his mind. In season 1 of the show, Homelander looks into Rebecca's disappearance, and a scientist informs him that she died while giving birth to his son. And when Homelander asks about the child, the scientist states it passed away in a miscarriage. Of course, we know this isn't true, and Homelander doesn't believe it either. He ends up finding out where Rebecca and Ryan are located, frequently visiting the two of them now, in which she is of course not happy about. Homelander wants to train Ryan to use his powers and become a superhero, whereas Rebecca just wants to continue raising him as a normal boy. Ryan's powers include superhuman strength, durability, hearing, smell, regenerative healing, heat vision, and the ability ability to fly. Eventually, Homelander shows Ryan the outside world, and Ryan becomes very upset that it was hidden from him by his own mother. He leaves her and joins his father, and she unfortunately dies in the process of trying to get him back. Both Ryan and Butcher are distraught over this, but Butcher promises to look out for her son. Homelander now keeps Ryan in his grasp, in which Ryan really looks up to him for quite some time, but as of season 4, we start to see him more hesitant around his father, as it seems he starts to not agree with many of his actions. Sam Reardon was born to Ted and Janet Reardon in the early 2000s, and shortly after his birth, as well as his brothers, Luke, they were both injected with Compound V. Overall, they experienced a normal and positive childhood, and during this time, Sam had a great bond with his brother, forming many incredible memories with him. The power he possesses are superhuman strength, durability, and hearing, and he eventually was transferred to the Sage Grove Center, a psychiatric hospital that claims to offer therapeutic services, but in reality, it is a subsidiary of Vought that experiments on civilians. Sam was most likely sent here due to a combination of both Compound V and his mental health condition, in which he suffers from schizophrenia. At one point, his brother visited Sam at this facility alongside his brother's girlfriend, Cate, and Sam expresses that he is very angry that his parents injected them with Compound V, as it worsened his schizophrenia. Luke ends up being able to calm him down, but a guard makes the mistake of shooting Sam with a taser as he was about to hug his brother, which resulted in Sam getting very angry, punching through the guard's chest and killing him. Due to Cate's powers, she was able to prevent him from doing anything worse in this situation, but it was already bad as is. He is now transferred to the Woods, a secret underground medical facility where Vought conducts illegal human experiments on Supes. Typically, they test on students from Godolphin University who are mentally ill, and it is located underneath the institution. A known experiment that they conducted here was on both Sam and Luke, aiming to make Luke as strong as his brother through blood transfusions and to get him approved to join the Seven. But Luke did not have any memory of these experiments happening, as Cate was tasked to make Luke forget about them, as well as Sam's entire existence in general. Eventually, Sam was rescued by the main cast of Gen V, but he ends up becoming increasingly radicalized, believing that all non-Supes are less superior beings. Sam ends up freeing all the Supes currently contained inside of the Woods, killing the guards in the process, and they start to massacre every human they can find. Sam currently works for Vought in season 4 of the show, as Homelander seems to appreciate the work Sam did. Cate Dunlap was born in the early 2000s, and shortly after her birth, she was injected with Compound V. The powers she ends up gaining are telepathy, persuasion, memory and emotional manipulation, sleep induction, superhuman durability, hearing, and regenerative healing. Cate also has the ability of memory imprisonment, in which she can make multiple people go unconscious, sending them to a shared psychic plane, where they all relive their past traumas. And this ability is so dangerous that if someone dies in it, they also die in the real world. When she was just 9 years old, she went on a camping trip with her family, and her 6-year-old brother was irritating her. She grabbed his arm and told him to leave and never come back, not knowing she has this power, which resulted in him actually walking away into the woods and never returning. Unfortunately, even after multiple search parties, he was never found. Cate's mother was horrified by this and ended up distancing herself from Cate. She felt immense guilt over her brother's disappearance, and this incident prompted her parents to lock her in a room for 9 years, forcing her to always wear gloves when interacting with them or any other human being. This experience conditioned her to keep her distance from others so she could not use her powers on them, and she ends up receiving online tutoring to keep up with her education. Whenever she turns 18, she is visited by Indira Shetty, the dean of Godolphin University, and she offers Cate to attend it. Although hesitant at first, Cate decides to accept her offer, but unfortunately, another classmate who also has telepathy powers, known as Rufus, apparently sexually assaulted her, putting her into a hypnotic state for over 3 days straight. With that being said, she meets Luke here, and they end up getting into a loving relationship. She decides to major in hero management and has the goal of becoming the future manager of her boyfriend, at least before his death, that is. Cate presents herself as being a kind, empathetic, and compassionate girl, but she is deeply flawed and complicated, and due to her isolation growing up, as well as being manipulated and abused by other individuals over the course of her life, she has a lot of anger and resentment towards humans in general. These emotions make her act up and do unspeakable things, such as aiding Sam in unleashing havoc at Godolphin University, and now in season 4 of The Boys, joining his side and working at Vought. Andre Anderson was born in the early 2000s, and shortly after he was born, he was injected with Compound V. His parents are Lela and Mr. Anderson, with his father better being known as Polarity, and he is a Supe as well. His father graduated from Godolphin University, and he ended up becoming a famous B-list superhero. Now, he is fairly involved with the institution, with his eyes set on a bright future for his son. The powers Andre possesses are similar to his father's, having superhuman strength, durability, and hearing, with their unique powers being technopathy and magnetism manipulation, which enables him to control magnetism and magnetic fields with his hands. Andre is a pretty complicated person overall, and while he deep down does want to become a hero, he is unsure if he wants to succeed his father in becoming the new Polarity. With that being said, he still doesn't want to let his father down, which leads him to being very conflicted. He eventually betrays his best friend Luke by hooking up with Cate. He feels very guilty about this, but he ultimately does it because he loves her. After Luke's death, Andre begins to feel depressed since he was never able able to be honest with him about this situation, and on top of this, he begins to feel very stressed as he now takes Luke's #1 spot of being the top-ranked student at Godolkin, feeling like he is not fit for this position, and also feeling as if he betrayed his best friend yet again. After finding out about the woods, he puts all of his effort into trying to find out the truth behind Luke's suicide and how he became mentally insane. As he looks more into it, he ends up discovering his father is aware of the existence of the woods and is even an accomplice of it, which makes him feel very disappointed, angry, and frustrated. This now hurts the relationship he has with his father, with the positive image he used to have of him now being destroyed. At the end of season 1 of Gen V, just like Marie, who I mentioned in my last video, Andre wakes up in a new mysterious facility after the massacre at Godolkin University. Unfortunately, the actor who plays Andre, Chance Perdomo, sadly passed away at the beginning of this year. How they will handle this in the show is currently unknown, but the creators claim they will not replace him with another actor. Overall, it is very saddening that he passed away, as I think he did an incredible job on the show, and I wish I could have seen him in even more roles for other shows or movies in the future. Rest in peace, Chance. Jordan Lee was born as a male to Paul and Kayla in the early 2000s, and shortly after their birth, they were injected with Compound V. The most unique power that they end up gaining is gender transformation, allowing Jordan to change between being a male and female at will, with each gender having their own set of powers. In female form, Jordan possesses superhuman agility, durability, and regenerative healing, and in male form, Jordan is indestructible. In both forms, they also possess superhuman strength and hearing. They often use their ability to change between the two genders in everyday life, identifying as bigender, despite their parents' disapproval due to being born as a male. Eventually, Jordan ends up joining Godolkin University, and here they become more comfortable with their powers thanks to Brink, who was a professor at the institution. At some point, Jordan overhears an argument between Brink and Luke, where Luke claims he remembered something that he saw, demanding Brink to tell him the truth. Jordan enters Brink's office, and Luke demands to know where his brother, Sam, is. Jordan quickly incapacitates Luke by sedating him, and Brink thanks them for this by offering Jordan the position of his new TA, asking for Jordan to always protect him and keeping this incident a secret. Jordan happily accepts this role, now becoming Brink's new gatekeeper. Eventually, Jordan ends up getting into a relationship with Marie, and at the end of season 1, also wakes up alongside her and Andre in a mysterious facility. Emma Meyer, the final Supe I will discuss in this video, was born to Tiffany and Mr. Meyer in the early 2000s, and shortly after her birth, she was injected with Compound V. The powers she ends up gaining are superhuman strength, durability, hearing, and a power that is unique to her, self-size alteration, where she is able to shrink to the size of an ant or grow to the size of a 2-story house. In order for Emma to shrink, she must empty the contents of her stomach, which she refers to as purging, leading her to gradually shrink until she is the desired size. To return to her normal size, she must consume even larger amounts of food. With that being said, she is at one point scolded by Sam, who she eventually gets into a relationship with, and she unintentionally shrinks down without purging, which implies that her powers are dependent on strong emotion and how she's currently feeling. As she was growing up, her mother would control her body size and measure her constantly, and at some point, Emma would start a YouTube channel called Fun Size with Little Cricket, acting as an internet personality. In 2023, Emma joins Godolkin University as a freshman and becomes roommates with Marie Moreau, in which they both become very close friends. Like I mentioned before, she ends up getting into a relationship with Sam, but that doesn't last very long, as the dark path he starts going down deters her away from him, and she now finds herself waking up alongside Marie and the other characters I mentioned before in the secret facility at the end of season 1. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below which of the Supes I mentioned in this video are your favorite, as well as which power you think is best. If this video does well, I will without a doubt make a part 3 going over lesser known Supes that appear in The Boys in Gen V, as I have now covered pretty much all the most well known ones. Anyways, thank you again, and goodbye.